Think about this for a moment. Right now, there is a man who is thinking very deeply about you. He simply cannot get your face out of his mind. Your name enters his thoughts many times every day, even if he tries to hide that fact or cannot yet admit it to himself. His body, his small movements, and all of his energy have already shown the truth. He is completely in love with you, but you have not noticed it yet. This happens because throughout your life, you have been taught to look only for words, promises, and clear statements. However, in reality, true male desire is hidden within a silent code. It is a language so quiet and subtle that most women never learn how to understand it. What I am sharing with you now will completely change how you see relationships and the male mind. Carl Jung, one of the most famous psychologists in history, discovered something amazing about how men think. He found that when a man truly loves a woman, his inner mind enters a state that is beyond his own control. This state creates physical signals that are literally impossible to fake. The sad part is that almost all women totally misunderstand these signals. Many people mistake real interest for simple games, or they completely ignore men who are deeply in love just because they do not know how to read this hidden language of desire. Have you ever had a strange feeling that something does not match up? Perhaps a man says he is interested, but his actions tell a different story. Or maybe he never says how he feels, yet you sense a deep connection between you. That is not a coincidence or just your imagination. It is your own inner mind picking up on signals that your conscious brain cannot see yet. This is not a trick or a way to manipulate someone. It is much deeper than that. It is the truth about what happens in a man's mind when he meets a woman who creates a connection that goes beyond simple logic. There is a pattern, a secret language found in a man's gestures, his looks, his silences, and his habits when he is truly emotionally attached. Once you learn how to read these signs, you will never be confused about a man's true intentions again. The problem is that most women look in the wrong places. They wait for big speeches when they should be watching the small details that reveal everything. Jung found that within every man lives the lover archetype, a powerful force that changes his behavior in ways he does not even understand himself. This is an instinctive response from the deepest part of the male mind. Pay close attention, because these signs are small but very clear. A man might try to hide his feelings or deny them, but his body and his actions will always tell the truth. There is a massive difference between a man who only feels physical attraction and one who is emotionally attached. One man disappears when things get difficult, while the other stays even closer to you. One leaves you feeling worried and unsure, while the other makes you feel safe and stable. Before I tell you more, I want you to focus on the word perception. When you focus on this idea, your brain prepares itself to understand the powerful information I am sharing. It is like a mental key that opens the door to a deeper understanding of why some women attract commitment easily, while others get stuck in short-term relationships. Jung discovered that male behavior is led by forces far beyond conscious control. These are universal patterns called archetypes. When the lover archetype is woken up inside a man, he is not just interested, he is connected on a level that moves past logic. Modern society often teaches men to hide their feelings from a very young age. They are told to be strong and not show weakness. This creates a wall between what they feel and what they actually say. But the body never lies. While the mind can control words, the inner self shows through physical signals that are almost impossible to fake. That is the secret. Think of a man who sends mixed signals. Words can lie, but actions never do. Getty images. Recent science confirms what Jung suspected. When a man is truly in love, his brain releases special chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. These chemicals change his behavior in ways he cannot stop. Dopamine makes him feel a reward when he is near you, creating a strong need to see you. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, makes him feel an instinctive need to protect and care for you. This is his biology responding to a deep bond. While we often rely on what a man says, the real depth of his love is hidden in this silent language. Because men are taught to hide their true selves, you must look beneath the surface. When a man's inner lover is active, he does not just want a physical connection. He wants to be near you and make you a part of his life. Understanding this silent language changes everything. It helps you see who is serious and who is just playing. Physical attraction is quick and can fade, but emotional involvement grows over time. When a man is truly involved, his focus narrows down to just one woman. She becomes his source of comfort and his future. Jung also spoke about synchronicity or meaningful coincidences. When a man is connected to you, these things happen naturally. He might call right when you think of him, or you find you have the same dreams. These are signs of a deep inner connection. The tragedy is that most women miss these signs and waste time on the wrong people. By learning this language, you can avoid pain and make better choices. You need to watch how he looks at you when he thinks you aren't looking. Watch how he manages his time and if he remembers small details about you. Does he share his fears? Does he include you in his social circle? Each of these is a piece of the puzzle. To spark this connection, a woman can use her own feminine energy. This is not about being weak, it is about being open, intuitive, and present. This energy acts like a magnet, inviting a man's inner lover to come out. Feminine energy is defined by receptivity and emotional depth. It is the natural partner to masculine energy, which is usually about action and logic. In relationships, feminine energy invites a man to lower his defenses and open his heart. There are several ways this works. First, choose presence over pursuit. Instead of chasing a man, be fully grounded in the moment. This creates a magnetic field that pulls him in. Second, practice authentic vulnerability. Showing your true self invites him to do the same, building trust and safety. Third, focus on emotional attunement. This means listening deeply and responding with empathy. Fourth, allow him space. Giving a man space to be himself without pressure actually encourages his feelings to grow. You can practice this by being mindful, nurturing your own creativity, and trusting your intuition. Jung also warned about the shadow side of our personalities. For men, this often means denying their feelings or their need for connection. For women, it can mean denying their own strength. When a woman uses her feminine power and encourages the man to be his true self, they both start to heal. This changes dating from a game of manipulation to a journey of authenticity. It shifts the focus from chasing to inviting. Love becomes a lived reality that is deep and mutual. Now that you understand these dynamics, it is time to look at the 8 definitive signs that a man is truly emotionally involved. These signs are nearly impossible to fake because they come from his unconscious mind. The first sign is in the eyes. Jung called them the window to the soul, and science shows that pupils dilate involuntarily when a man sees someone he loves. He will look at you with fascination, as if trying to memorize your face. The second sign is how he manages time. An involved man will rearrange his life to include you. He won't make excuses, he will make room. The third sign is a selective memory. He will remember tiny details you mentioned in passing because they are important to him. The fourth sign is emotional vulnerability. If he shares his fears or dreams with you, it means he trusts you deeply and has lowered his shield. The fifth sign is social integration. He will want to show you off to his friends and family because you are a valued part of his identity. The sixth sign is future projection. He talks about future plans, like trips or life goals, and naturally includes you in that vision. The seventh sign is a protective instinct. This is not about control, but about a genuine concern for your well-being. He notices your moods and wants to help you. The eighth sign is consistency. Anyone can fake interest for a few days, but true feelings show through steady, reliable behavior over many months. He won't play hot and cold games. Understanding these 8 signs empowers you to see the truth. You no longer have to second-guess a man's words. You can see his emotional investment through his actions. If you find a man who shows these signs, you are experiencing a rare and profound connection. Reflect on your own relationships with this new perspective. Once you see these signs, you might wonder how to keep that connection strong. The answer is to create an environment where he feels safe and respected. Stay authentic and keep your own sense of self-worth. Do not chase or use ultimatums. Instead, communicate your needs with grace and maintain your own interesting life. If a man consistently shows he is not ready or is emotionally unavailable, the best choice is to walk away. This is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of self-worth. Sometimes walking away is what finally makes a man realize your value. Love is not a game of chance. It is a dance between two energies. When you understand the rules, you can lead with grace and build a relationship based on security and passion. You now have the keys to understand a man's true feelings and inspire his devotion. The question is, will you use this knowledge to transform your life? Since you have now mastered the signs of a man's deep emotional investment and the power of your own energy, the next part involves understanding how to deepen this bond so it lasts a lifetime. This is about moving from the initial spark of the lover archetype into a phase of true, long-term partnership. To do this, you must understand the concept of emotional safety from a man's perspective. While a woman often seeks safety through words and protection, a man finds safety when he feels he can be his most authentic self without being judged or fixed. When a man realizes that you are the only person in the world who truly sees him, including his weaknesses, and still respects him, his commitment becomes unbreakable. This is where the bond shifts from simple attraction to a deep-rooted necessity. He begins to view you not just as a partner, but as his home. The next step in this journey is learning to handle the natural rubber band effect in men. Sometimes even a man who is deeply in love will pull away slightly to regain his sense of independent masculine identity. If you react with fear or chase him during this time, you break the magnetic pull. However, if you remain grounded in your own life and allow him that space, he will snap back to you with even more intensity than before. This is the secret to maintaining a high-value position in his life. Your happiness must be something he contributes to, not something he is entirely responsible for. You must also learn the art of positive reinforcement for the masculine spirit. Men are biologically wired to provide and protect. When you show genuine appreciation for the small ways he shows up for you, it triggers a release of testosterone and dopamine in his brain that makes him want to do even more. It creates a cycle where he feels like a hero in your presence. This isn't about manipulation. It's about speaking a language that his unconscious mind understands and craves. Finally, the most important part of this entire process is your own emotional sovereignty. The more you value yourself and your own time, the more he will value you. A man is most attracted to a woman who is a prize he had to earn and must continue to cherish. By keeping your own passions, your own friends, and your own goals, you remain a mystery that he wants to solve every single day. This keeps the lover archetype active for decades rather than just months. Once you have recognized the signs of his emotional investment, The next part is understanding how to maintain and grow this bond. To keep the lover archetype alive in a man, you must master the balance between intimacy and independence. This phase is about moving from the initial spark into a solid, lasting partnership. A key part of this stage is understanding the rubber band effect. Men often have a natural cycle of pulling away to regain their sense of self before snapping back even closer than before. When a man retreats slightly, it is not usually a sign of lost interest. It is a psychological need for space. If you react with worry or try to pull him back, you create tension. But if you remain calm and focus on your own life, he will naturally feel the magnetic pull to return to you. This builds a cycle of trust where he knows he can be himself and still be connected to you. Another important piece is the concept of emotional safety. For a man, safety means knowing he can show his true, imperfect self without being judged. When he sees that you respect him even when he is vulnerable, it creates a bond that words cannot describe. This is where he stops seeing the relationship as a choice and starts seeing it as a vital part of his life. You become his safe harbor in a world that often demands he be perfect and strong. You can also use the power of appreciation to fuel his desire. Men are driven by a need to feel successful in their roles as providers and protectors. When you notice and value the small things he does, his brain releases chemicals that make him want to do even more for you. It is a positive loop that strengthens his commitment. This is not about praise. It is about acknowledging his effort so he feels seen and needed. Finally, you must keep your own emotional sovereignty. This means your happiness and your worth do not depend entirely on him. By having your own goals, hobbies, and a rich social life, you remain a mystery that he wants to keep exploring. A man is most devoted to a woman who is a prize he must continue to cherish. When you are whole on your own, you inspire him to bring his best self to the relationship every day. Moving forward from those signs, the next part is understanding how to keep this deep connection alive as the relationship grows. This is about the transition from the excitement of a new bond into a lasting, unbreakable partnership. To do this, you must learn the concept of the heroic mirror. This is a psychological state where a man feels like the best version of himself when he is around you. If a man feels that his strength, his intelligence, and his efforts are truly seen and respected by you, he will become psychologically anchored to your presence. He won't just love you, he will feel he needs you to feel complete in his own masculine identity. Another vital piece is the pullback paradox. Even when the lover archetype is fully active, a man may occasionally go quiet or focus intensely on his work or a hobby. Many women see this as a sign of pulling away and react with anxiety, which can push him further. However, the secret is to realize that a man often uses silence to recharge his emotional energy. If you respond by staying happy in your own world and not demanding his attention during those brief quiet moments, he will return with a renewed sense of devotion. This creates a rhythm of freedom and closeness that prevents the relationship from feeling like a trap. You must also understand the difference between being a helper and being an inspirer. While it is natural to want to fix a man's problems, a man's unconscious mind can sometimes view too much help as a sign that you don't trust his strength. Instead, aim to be the woman who inspires him to solve his own problems. By believing in his ability to handle life, you activate his protective and providing instincts. This keeps him in the role of the active lover and prevents him from becoming passive or lazy in the relationship. The final part of this stage is creating shared future memories. This involves talking about the future not as a list of demands, but as a series of exciting adventures you will have together. When you speak about the future with joy and curiosity, it paints a mental picture in his mind that he will begin to work toward subconsciously. His brain will start to categorize you as a permanent fixture in his life story. This turns a simple romance into a deep, soul-level commitment that can withstand the tests of time. Once you have created this deep emotional safety and shared vision, the next part is understanding the investment principle. In the male mind, value is closely tied to what he has worked for and invested in. The more a man puts his time, energy, and effort into a relationship, the more he becomes psychologically committed to its success. This is why it is vital to let him do things for you. When you allow a man to help you, fix things, or plan your dates, you are not being weak. You are giving him the opportunity to increase his emotional investment. His brain registers every act of service as a reason why you are precious to him. The next phase is mastering emotional resilience. Every relationship faces challenges or moments of disagreement. An emotionally mature man looks to see how you handle these storms. If you can express your feelings clearly without attacking his character, you show him that the relationship is a safe place for growth. When you stay calm and centered during a conflict, it triggers a deep respect in him. He realizes that you are a woman of high value who can handle life's ups and downs with grace. This stability acts as a foundation that allows his lover archetype to stay active even when life gets difficult. You must also understand the power of social pride. A man's identity is often connected to how he is perceived by the world. When he sees that his friends, family, and peers respect and admire you, his own attraction to you deepens. He feels a sense of pride in having you by his side. This doesn't mean you need to perform for others, but rather that your authentic confidence radiates in social settings. When he sees you as a woman who is respected by the community, his unconscious mind reinforces the idea that you are an irreplaceable partner who adds immense value to his life. The final piece of this journey is spiritual and mental alignment. This is when your connection moves beyond just emotions and biology into the realm of shared values and life purpose. When you and a man are moving in the same direction, supporting each other's dreams and believing in the same core truths, you create a bond that is impossible to break. You become a team. At this stage, the silent language of desire has evolved into a deep, soulful understanding where words are often not even necessary. You have successfully moved from a man who was simply thinking about you to a man who is building a life and a legacy with you. After reaching this state of deep alignment, the next part of the journey is the legacy connection. This is where the relationship moves from a private bond between two people into a force that impacts the world around you. When a man reaches this stage of emotional involvement, he no longer views the relationship as something he has, but as something he is. His identity becomes fully merged with the partnership. He starts to think about the long-term impact of your lives together, such as the home you build, the family you might create, or the goals you achieve as a team. This is the ultimate form of male commitment, where he seeks to provide not just for today, but for a lifetime. To keep this flame burning, you must understand the mystery of the familiar. The biggest threat to long-term desire is the feeling that there is nothing left to discover. Even after years together, a woman who continues to grow, learn, and evolve keeps a man's curiosity alive. When you change your style, pick up a new skill, or share a new perspective, you remind his unconscious mind that you are a vast ocean, not a shallow pond. This prevents the lover archetype from fading into a roommate dynamic. By remaining an individual with your own secrets and dreams, you ensure that he never stops the chase, even when he has already won your heart. Another vital element is ritualized connection. As life becomes busy with work and responsibilities, the unconscious mind can feel neglected. You must create small, regular habits that signal to his inner mind that the bond is still the priority. This could be a specific way you greet each other, a weekly tradition, or a shared goal you work on every evening. These rituals act as anchors that keep the emotional connection stable, even when the outside world is chaotic. They remind him that no matter how much the world changes, the sanctuary you have built together remains a constant source of strength and joy. The final truth of this process is that the silent language of desire never truly ends. It simply becomes more refined. You will reach a point where a single look across a crowded room or a hand placed on a shoulder tells an entire story. You have moved past the need for constant validation because the trust is so deep it is felt in the bones. By following these principles, embracing your feminine power, understanding the male unconscious, and staying true to your own worth, you create a love story that doesn't just flicker and fade, but one that glows brighter with every passing year. You are no longer just a woman he thinks about. You are the very center of his world. Once this deep legacy connection is established, the next part of the journey is the unspoken mastery. This is the highest level of a relationship where your connection operates almost entirely on an intuitive level. At this stage, you have successfully decoded his silent language and replaced it with a shared emotional shorthand. You no longer need to look for signs because you have become the person who defines his emotional world. He moves from being a man who is in love with you to a man who is devoted to you. Devotion is deeper than love. It is a conscious, daily choice to put your happiness and the health of the bond above all else. To sustain this mastery, you must understand the concept of emotional refreshment. Just as a fire needs fresh oxygen to keep burning, a long-term bond needs new experiences to stay vibrant. This doesn't mean you need constant drama or change. Instead, it means keeping the spirit of the invite alive. Continue to invite him into your world by sharing your evolving thoughts, your changing fears, and your new dreams. When a man feels that he is still the first person you want to talk to, it reinforces his role as your primary protector and partner. This keeps his lover energy directed toward you, rather than allowing it to become stagnant or bored. A final psychological secret at this level is the anchor of stability. As a man gets older and takes on more responsibility in the world, his life often becomes more stressful and complex. Your presence becomes his ultimate refuge. If you can remain the one person who does not demand he be anything other than himself, your value becomes immeasurable. In the male mind, a woman who provides a peace that surpasses logic is a woman he will never let go of. This is the true power of the feminine essence. It is the calm center of his storm. By being his peace, you ensure his lifelong loyalty. The journey we have walked through, from the first moments of him thinking intensely about you to this stage of total devotion, is a path of understanding the human heart. You have learned that words are only the surface, and that the real truth lives in the unconscious mind. By respecting the male archetypes and honoring your own value, you have built something that 97% of people never find. You have transformed a simple attraction into a legendary connection. You now possess the wisdom to navigate any relationship with confidence, knowing that the silent code of desire is no longer a mystery to you, but a language you speak fluently. After reaching this level of intuitive devotion, the next part of the journey is the soul-level resonance. This is the peak of the connection where the physical, emotional, and spiritual layers of your relationship move in perfect harmony. At this point, the silent language has become a part of who you both are. You no longer need to actively decode his movements because his heart has become an open book to you. This stage is about the deep peace that comes from knowing you are truly seen and accepted. It is the end of the search and the beginning of a shared existence where your energies are so well matched that you move through life as a single, powerful unit. To protect this peak state, you must practice vigilant tenderness. In long-term bonds, it is easy to let the small details slip because the connection feels so secure. However, the unconscious mind still thrives on the tiny signals of affection that started the romance. A soft touch on the back, a meaningful look during a quiet dinner, or a small note of appreciation can keep the lover archetype from falling asleep. These are not just habits. They are the fuel that keeps the fire from dimming. By staying awake to the beauty of your partner, you prevent the relationship from becoming a routine and keep it as a living, breathing adventure.